Welcome back to another Chart Legacy League where we have Sultai lands versus Beanstalk Control. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. It's like Lincoln's keeping 6 and Ryan's keeping 7 in this game number 1, and Ryan's going to be on the play as you can see. This is going to be an interesting matchup because the Beans deck is meant to go long and high, where Lincoln's deck is designed to go even longer and even higher, I suppose. The matchup, as you saw in the deck list earlier, Lincoln is on 4 Bowmasters, 3 Basin Borrowers, 1 Leovold, 3 Uro's Mane, 4 Brainstorms, 2 Crop Rots, 4 Swords, 3 Trophies, 3 Negations, 4 Force of Wills, and an Intuition, as well as a Life from the Loam to get back those cards he loves, those lands, 3 Luring Reveals, and a Pernicious Deed in the main. He is running Wastelands and the Dark Depths combo, as well as a 1 of Cephalid Coliseum. So that's going to be very interesting. On the other side, which is the Beanstalk Control, we've seen this list multiple times from Ryan and other people in the league, as well as everyone around the internet, including Bosch and Roll, the gentleman who won the Eternal Weekend. So 4 Bowmasters, 3 Triumph St. Catharines, 3 Murktides, 4 Brainstorms, 4 Plows, 4 Forces, 2 Negations, 4 Ponders, 2 Lurians, Witherbloom Command, Terminus, 4 Beanstalks, 4 Ley Lines, and 1 Dress Down for those sneaky Thassa's Oracle players and those Urza Saga players with the constructs. So again, we're in for an interesting match here. Ryan's already got a Beans down, and Lincoln is just building up his mana base at the moment. So hope you're in for the long haul here. So here we go, following with an Uro, and he's got 2 Plowshares in his hand here. It looks like he's going to use a Bowmaster to at least get an extra trigger off of it to cause damage and pick up 2 counters on that Orc army. That's a shiny Orc army. I would like to say that Lincoln does have a beautiful deck here, sans the 1 proxy Luring Revealed that we saw at the beginning here, only because he couldn't find one to take its place. So he did have to play with 1 playtest card and was sure to make sure he drew it his opening hand and then use it right away, which is kind of fun. Brainstorm coming out of Ryan, and to see if he likes what he... Well, I mean, he's going to have to like what he sees because it's a Brainstorm. But there is a Triumph of St. Catherine on top, so that is ideal for the Beanstalk player because he'll get to Triumph, and then it'll trigger, and he'll get to draw that other card that is on top as well. So he'll get to basically just draw 2 cards here off of the beginning of his next turn. So let's see, a missed trigger, maybe? I think we missed our Bean trigger there. All right, well, there's a Bean trigger missed. Surely it won't be the last, but we've got a swing over for 3 on Lincoln and pass back over to him. See what he's got for us here. Picks up an Underground Sea. Looks like he has a Wasteland in his hand, a Force of Will, a Brazen Borrower, and potentially something else. Maybe it looks like a Bowmaster as well. I mean, a Bowmaster here wouldn't be bad, especially in the face of a... I think we're about to see something pretty sweet here. All right. We're setting our mana up. 3 to cast. Oh, Leovold. Okay. That will force a Brainstorm out of Ryan's hand, which there's the Brainstorm. And then Lincoln sets it up beautifully with a Bowmaster. That is... Whew, that's just some good, honest magic right there. All right, so he's taking out the Bowmaster with his ETB trigger. Ryan will get to draw 3 cards here because Leovold is still on the stack. And then we'll see 2 damage hit the Orc army and then 1 damage hit Ryan in the face. That'll bring that Orc army up to a 4/4. And Ryan does have some plows in his hand to really deal with what's happening on this board state. So he's going to put 2 lands back on top, a Flooded Strand and an island. And Leovold looks like it might resolve. There is a Force of Will and looks like a Murktide in Ryan's hand. So see if he wants to burn that or if he just wants to use those plows to get that Leovold off the board. There's that Flooded Strand we knew we put back on top, and we'll see if he's going to not fetch away the other land that's on top of his library as well. So he must want to just build his mana base up here. And we've got a Swords targeting the Leovold. The Leovold's going to trigger, allow him to draw a card, and then 3 life back to Lincoln. And we're probably going to see that Murktide come out of Ryan's hand here. It looks like it's exactly what we're going to see. And that looks like it's probably going to be an 8/8, so that's a pretty big Murktide. It'll trigger the beans. See if he catches it. Alright, does catch it. Beans draws, and then the Orcish Bowmaster will probably put 1 to Ryan's face, and now we've got a 5/5 in play. So they end up being a 7/7 Murktide instead of an 8/8. So I guess we only had 4 instants or sorceries in the graveyard. If he would have used that other swords in his hand to hit that Bowmaster first, it would have been an 8/8. Looks like we're going to see a trade here more than likely with that Triumph of St. Catherine. Yes, we are. So Triumph is going to exile the top 6 cards of our library, then we're going to shuffle her in. And then it'll go in there. So looks like that'll probably wrap it up for Ryan's turn unless he decides he wants to use that plow now or later. Precisely cut. And back over to Lincoln here. Force Negation. Not a bad one to have, especially with your Bowmaster out. If you wanted to take out that... Alright, he's got a bounce. Alright, here's the Brazen Borrower bounce. And back to Ryan's hand it goes. And we're on an adventure with our Brazen Borrower. So, and we still have a Force Negation in our hand with mana available to use it. Blast Zone. Whew, Blast Zone is good. Takes out some pesky beans, as well as can be rolled up to take out larger creatures as well, or permanents on the battlefield. Not quite as good as Pernicious Deed, where Pernicious Deed hits everything at and below the CMC that it allows, or that you put into it, but it is still a really good card. And we're going to roll that up to 2, just in case we need to take some beans off the board. And an Intuition. Man, just all kinds of fun stuff in Lincoln's deck. We've got and a Field of the Dead. So now we got Zomboys coming out one at a time. And we still have an Uro in the graveyard as well, so we can't quite bring it back yet. It does take 5 to exile. Alright, we got a Plow on the Bowmaster. See if we've got a Hardcast Force Negation here. We do have a Hardcast Force Negation. Is Ryan willing to... Alright, we got a Hardcast Force of Will with a trigger on the bean. That will still make another Orc army for Lincoln. So it's not going out without a fight. And Ryan goes down to 19. Orc army in play. We got a zombie in play and a Hardcast Force Negation with a Hardcast Force of Will. Just trying to catch up here. And alright, Force Negation is countered. That does clear the way for Lincoln on an Intuition though, on the following turn. Especially if Ryan doesn't pick up another Force of Will or something along those lines. I think Lincoln's just going to go for it here. All right, so we got an Intuition, which is a reader. So you get to search your library for any 3 cards you want, reveal them to the target opponent, and that opponent picks which cards you keep. So we'll see what Lincoln decides to pick here. And it is a Beseiju, a Life from the Loam, and a Caracas. Those are all great because he gets them all. So let's see which one he decides to give him as opposed to not. So he's going to make him put the Beseiju and the Loam in the graveyard. And Lincoln still has his Caracas as well. Good order setting there for Lincoln. And it looks like we'll probably play one more land this turn. Nope, we've already played the land for the turn. We got the zombie. All right. We miracle the Triumph of St. Catherine somehow. Jesus. All right, well, there that is. And no bean trigger. Okay. Bean trigger 3 gone. And are we going to cast a Murktide? That's the next question. Got a fetch. And looks like we're casting a Murktide here. And I got a bean trigger. And Murktide is a 5/5. All right, nope, missed the bean trigger on that one too. 2 missed bean triggers in a row. That's not great. I mean, he'd be up to 4 cards in his hand at this point. Got a loan from Lincoln. And picking up the Dark Depths, but missing on the other 2, putting a Force Will and another Bowmaster in the graveyard. But we're going to cast that loam, I imagine, and get some Besajuin going. We got a Caracas. Oh, now we can protect our Uro if we ever bring it back as well. And we have a way to fuel up the graveyard. So yeah, that's what we're doing here. We're going to play the Uro. We do have the Caracas to protect it. And we also can still loam as well. Unfortunately, Uro doesn't get the same triggers or +1/+1 counters that Murktide does. Man, that would be a beast if it did. And he does get to put another land into play for turn. He's got the Wasteland, a Trop. Oh, Lincoln decided to give him his bean triggers. What a gentleman and a scholar. All right. Another land in play. Make another zombie. Up to 3 zombies. Uros in play can be protected. And then we can cast our loam. We've already played our 2 lands return, but we get to Besage and the Dark Depths, which is nice. So we can take that bean off the battlefield if he wants. He also can save it for this Leyline Binding, perhaps. Swords Plowshare onto the Uro. Uro is protected by Caracas. See if he wants to use that Leyline Binding. He does not. All right. And Uro is in the safe house for now. Potentially see another Murktide come, which will allow a bean trigger as well. What are we going to do? That Triumph is pretty much stuffed on the ground right now with those zombies out and the one Orc army that's a 2/2. It's just a swing over 5 and an untap from Lincoln. See if we're going to dredge again. Yes, looks like we are. Another Bowmaster, a Petty, Brazen Borrow, and just a fetch land. Fetch lands are not bad, though, as they make more and more zombies. So, going to hit the Besage. See if we're going to see a Leyline Binding come out of Ryan's hand to pick up another card. So, Besage on beans. Does fill the graveyard up for the Murktide a little bit more. Gets him a Trio. Got another zombie coming out here. Doesn't make sense to attack through anything, as he'll just pick up 5 life and only be able to do 4 damage. So it nets Ryan 1 life, and he goes down a zombie. So another fetch, and we'll probably pick up it's like a Bayou there. All these FBBs, just absolutely gorgeous. We got our Uro again. We can use Uro and the Caracas just to basically Growth Spiral and Healing Solve ourselves if we wanted. And also not opt, whatever draws you a card. And, that's all it does. But, I mean, it's a busted-ass card, so, I guess Growth Spiral does draw you a card, too. So, yeah, it's a Growth Spiral and a Healing Solve on one. So, yeah, cool. And to pass back over, we do have that Wasteland as well. I mean, Ryan's a bit heavy on mana at the moment. I don't think it. Only thing you'd really do is take him off white, but he does still have a basic white. So, doesn't make much difference. Another beans. They always fucking got them. Goddamn beans are everywhere. Land, thank God he doesn't play. Oh, man. Could you imagine if Beans started playing one Field of the Dead? Jesus. That'd be fucking awful. Don't give Ben any ideas, because he'll do that shit, and then we're all going to suffer. Same for Andres. Andres will fucking do it with his Wastelands and a Life from the Loam, so we'll never get that motherfucker off the board. Alright, are we fetching and maybe using it? Going to get in the Murktide? Alright, we got to fetch. What are we doing, Lincoln? Oh, we got another Beseiju on the beans. See if Ryan's going to take advantage this time and actually use that Leyline Binding. He is. He'll get a trigger off that bean, and he's going to take out a zombie. Trigger off the bean, and then he'll be able to go get 2 lands, one off the fetch, and then one off of the... And then he's got a... Alright, so he does the old Mystic Sanctuary, Swords of Plowshare back on top. It's going to make the Murktide a little bit bigger. It's a pretty heads-up play from Ryan there. Still in his turn. I was going to say, he can make this next Murktide a little bit bigger. So, yeah, pass a Ponder. Then he can use the Swords as well. He takes that Swords off the top. So, triple Swords of Plowshare. I don't even know what that... Wow, that's a pretty low mathematical probability, I think, for triple Plowshare off of a Ponder. Especially since he put one Plowshare back on top, too. So, that's interesting. But he can definitely burn a Plowshare here as well, killing another zombie or the Orc army. And now he can play his Murktide, and it's even fucking bigger, and it makes the other Murktide even bigger as well. So, some thick boys. How big is this bitch going to be? Looks like 3? Or 2? 2. Alright, so now he's got an 8-8 Murktide, a 5-5 Murktide, and a 5-5 Triumph of St. Catherine. That's quite a bit to work through with only zombies on the ground. We'll see if... Now, Lincoln does still have the Brazen Borrower in just out on an adventure, so he does have a blocker there. Gonna dredge the loam again. Oh, crop rotation would have been nice. And a Pernicious Deed. That also would have been really nice to have. He could have blown up this fucking board sky high. That Pernicious Deed. We do still have the Blast Zone, though. So the Blast Zone can just put in work. Alright, so we're going to Wasteland. Going to go for a loam here, or are we just going to... Got 2, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 mana. That's on... 8 mana gives us 4 counters. There's a land with a zombie. 4 counters puts us up to only 6. Another land, I think. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, he has 10 mana available now. Alright, so 10 mana available. He can go get... He can roll up that Blast Zone to 7. And take out those 2 Murktides. A Miracle... Jesus. A Miracle Triumph of St. Catherine. So now there's 2 St. Catherines on the board. We've got 8, 5, what is that? 13 damage coming across that Lincoln, puts him down to 5. Alright, 5, and then we're going to fetch, going down to 4. And we're going to roll up that Blast Zone to 7. Which will kill both of those Murktides. And then now we've got the Orc, now we've got the zombies on the ground that can fight off the Triumphs. So 3 mana will pop that. He still has Loam in his hand as well, so he can get the Blast Zone back and start working it back up for the Triumphant Catherines as well. So that'll kill the Murktides. And then we've got the Loam, which will bring back... all right, well, Ryan's all done. We'll see you in game number 2. Thank you to the Patreon supporters who are helping the league and YouTube channel. If you would like to become a supporter, please click on the link in the show notes. Welcome back to game number 2. If you're still with me from that long game 1, welcome back. And we've just sideboarded some in this match, so let's take a peek and see. I know we saw the deck list at the beginning of the game. Sideboard wise, from Lincoln's side and Sultai lands, I imagine he probably brings in Oppo Agents, some Surgicals, another Trophy, Relic, and probably another Pernicious Deed. Those are probably my guesses here. And then from the Ryan side, probably the Leovold, the Oppo Agent. These are pretty close in terms of sideboard. Probably his Veil of not his Veil of Summers. Well, I guess I could see him bringing his Veil of Summers as well, because Lincoln does play Bowmasters. And then Carpet of Flowers and potentially his Pernicious Deeds. I don't really think he brings those in unless he's worried about the zombies attack that just happened. I don't think Flusterstorm's really that great. Maybe some Surgicals to get the Loam, but Lincoln is only playing 1, so I'm not quite sure. But definitely the Leovold, Oppo, Veils, and Carpets make the most sense. Maybe Surgical Extractions, maybe not. But looks like we've already got a riveting game here with Relic of Progenitus out to keep Ryan's Graveyard in check and keep those Murktides off the board. Even though he has a bazillion mana by the end of the game, but they would only be 3/3s. We've got a Leovold in play, and we'll see what happens here. Looks like he does have Bowmaster in his hand, which is a pretty neat wombo with Leovold, because you can bring it in and target a Bowmaster. Ooh, Pernicious Deed. That is a really good grab, or a really good card to have right this second. So we got a Alluring Revealed. Looks like it's going to be cycled. And Ryan's going to pick up a Tundra, draw for turn, and finds a... Geez, wow, okay. He finds the Leyline Binding for the Pernicious Deed. That's a fucking top deck. So anyway, what I was saying about Leovold and Bowmasters is you can cast the Bowmaster and target the Leovold, which will then trigger the Leovold for you to draw a card, which then you can target the Leovold again, which will trigger the Leovold. And you can see where this is going. And then you can target, the Bowmaster, that'll trigger the Leovold again. You can, and so on and so forth. Now, granted, you are letting your opponent draw a bunch of cards, but at the same time, you're clearing the board. So it looks like we've got a Bowmaster trigger targeting the Bowmaster. Leovold is a May ability, so Ryan looks like he's choosing not to draw off of that Leovold. So the Bowmaster is out of here. And we'll see a Bog coming from Lincoln. So he is maintaining that graveyard that Ryan has, and keeping him off of any shenanigans with a Murktide or Delve spell in that particular regard. Swords of Plowshare, man, just drawing bangers after bangers here. Swords of Plowshare off the top right after the... just right after that Leyline Binding. That's pretty good top decking, if I could say so myself. So he could Swords if he wanted. He's just going to... I think I probably would have held that Mystic Sanctuary back for later in the game. But it's Ryan's world, and he's playing in it. So got an untap here, draw from Lincoln, got a Swords of his own. We'll see Alluring Revealed, and so we're going to plow the Leovold in response. See if he's going to draw a card. He draws a card, Bowmaster trigger. and he can hit that army. All right. I think I just explained to him how this works, what we were just talking about. So now he gets another trigger off the draw. Is that correct? Swords, draw, trigger, 3. Okay, so we're just... I'm not quite sure what happened there. I may have just picked up an extra trigger off of targeting the Leovold, which it did fill up Ryan's hand pretty well. It's kind of tough. And then we'll see his swords for that Bowmaster. Makes sense. And then a Ponder. Okay, here we go. There's a Surgical. Oof. All right, Surgical, Triome, land. Surgical, Triome, and fetch land. Okay. So I want to shuffle this away. As you want to keep it? All right, he's going to keep the Surgical off the top. Might see another Ponder here. If he plays a Ponder, he still doesn't have enough mana to play the Murktide as well. All right, so he's going to eat something out of the graveyard. And then we got another Ponder. Doesn't like what he sees. He's going to shuffle that away. And top card looks like maybe a Bowmaster. Man, these Bowmasters are out of control. So, we got a Murktide, a Bowmaster. All right, Lincoln picks up a Force of Will. Swing for 3. And a pass back over to Ryan. We got a Bean. Potentially a hard cast Force of Will on that Bean. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Oh, that's an Oppo agent. All right, so we got a Murktide and an Oppo agent in, and a Surgical. Pass back over. Attack step, and then looks like we're going to activate that relic as well. Keeping that graveyard nice and safe. Got some little hands over here on Ryan. That's his daughter just coming over to say hello. It was a long night. This is round number 3, so it's getting towards her bedtime. Now we've got a Force of Will, an Oppo, and a Murktide. We get to see a Surgical here. Swords the army. And then, oh no. Lincoln could have used that relic to blow up both graveyards and... Oh man, that's tough. And I'd have stopped that Murktide from coming out as well. If he would have done that in response, and he still would have had 2 Swords Plowshares in hand. I think he realizes that now, pops it, and draws a card. That's kind of tough. Finds a Lorn Revealed, so he's still in this. He can refill that hand pretty easily with the Lorn Revealed. It looks like he picked up another Bowmaster as well. See what he wants to use first. Oh, no, it's Assassin's Trophy. Okay, so he finds Assassin's Trophy off the top, swings for 3. Ryan down to 8. And a Miracle's Triumph of St. Catherine. It is a fucking miracle that he found it. Jesus Christ. All right, cool. So here we go. We're definitely going to need to use that Lorn Reveal now. Refill this hand and try and get something going. So that's Lorn Revealed. That's the beautiful proxy that he made for tonight. So we picked up Force as Cephalid Coliseum and one other I couldn't quite make out. There's the Coliseum. And a pass back over. All right, so Triumph can put in some work here. Lincoln is at 10. See if Lincoln wants to do anything. All right, so he's going to block, try and keep his life total up to 10. Ryan goes up to 12. Source Plowshare in Ryan's hand, as well as the Oppo agent. So, let's see a draw. We got a Bowmaster in hand, which is nice. Just going to try and hold that back, I think, as long as possible. Ryan almost cast a Terminus off the Miracle. See a 5 come over. Lincoln down to 5. Ryan back up to 18. Find a way out of this. Alright, we got an Oppo agent. Alright, see if there's going to be a hard cast Force of Will here or not. Or just a straight up Swords of Plowshare. Alright, Ryan says it resolves. We got Oppo on the board now. Looks like we got an Uro as well, maybe? Oh, Brainstorm. 2 cards in hand. Alright, here it looks like we're going to see a Force of Will. Alright, trying to keep him off of these. Is Lincoln going to force back? He is. He says, no, sir. Alright, land, Brainstorm, double lands and a Brainstorm. Yikes. Alright, I think you just probably put those 2 lands back on top. Still got an unknown in hand, so. Oppo will block. We got an Uro. That's promising. And Lincoln grabs 3 life here off the Uro. Picks up another. So 9 life. Lincoln up to... Alright. So we got 3 life gain from Uro at the moment. That'll put him up to 8. And then Source Plowshare is on the stack. Looks like you found another Uro, a Bowmaster, and a Dress Down. Okay. Alright, so Lincoln goes up another 6, up to 14. Still in this game now, even with that the Triumph out. There is a Beans. Goddamn Beans. Fucking everywhere. See, oh, alright, Bowmaster. So we'll get to pick up 1 damage to Ryan plus an additional 1 off the Bean trigger. Alright, okay, he's putting on the Triumph. Fetch, wait. Alright, we got a, looks like we got the Oppo agent coming. Fetch in response. Ooh, we might get to see some Cephalid Coliseum shenanigans here. Yes, we are. He's going to use Cephalid Coliseum, target Ryan. Ryan's going to have to draw 3 cards, then discard 3 cards. So it draws 3. There's another Surgical. Alright, so 2 damage to the Oppo, and then 1 more to probably the Triumph here, I'd imagine at this point. Yeah, he has to discard 3 cards still. And then Lincoln's other piece will resolve. But Ryan does need to discard 3. What an interesting play. You don't get to see that every day. Though today I was playing Vintage and I got Ancestral Recall with the Bowmaster out, and then he attacked me for 10. That was rough. I lost that game. Hardest 3 cards to discard in the world, I guess. Alright. So he pitched the Veil, the Lord Revealed, and 1 and a land, it looks like. Wait, what the fuck are we doing? Okay. Maybe we didn't pitch all those. I don't understand what's happening here. Okay. Veil, Surgical Land. Captalorian, Brainstorm, and the Terminus. Also held back that Triumph of St. Catherine for another turn. So we don't have an Uro, but we do have a Life from the... Oh my god. Alright, we got another Life from the Loam here. Which means that Cephalid Coliseum is back in play again, which now will make the Bowmaster larger than... Alright, so another draw 3, discard 3. Did pick up a Swords, that's kind of tough. And a Bowmaster. Alright, so we got a Bowmaster, a Swords, and a Brainstorm. Alright, Bowmaster's away. So we're keeping the Swords, the Terminus, and the Brainstorm now. We are in turn number 1. And we'll see an attack for 8 from that big, thick boy. Alright, that's good stuff, good stuff. Alright, got a land, a Brainstorm, and a Swords. And turn number 2, attack for 5. Chose not to dredge. I wonder if that was intended or not. I feel like that Cephalid Coliseum is just begging to blow them up kind of thing. Alright, we got a fetch here. Picking up a Tropical Island. Alright, what can Ryan do here? There's a Murktide, and that's a big fucking beater as well. We're in turn 3, though. Turn 3, Murktide with Bean. So that'll trigger draw a card. Making the Bowmaster the Orc Army 1 larger. Picks up a Veil of Summer, it looks like. Alright. Cast a Swords on that, giving Lincoln 9 life, putting him up to 18. Alright, that doesn't really make too much sense. Swing for 5, and we'll see another Bowmaster come into play. a Veil of Summer with that on the stack. So he may have cast it a little too soon, I think. Lincoln's going to choose to ping himself. We've got a Beanstalk. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize. I've watched this like 1,000 fucking times, and this is not easy to follow. So the Veil resolves, and so Bowmaster does damage to Lincoln. He should have an Orc army out. Then the Brainstorm will eventually resolve, and then it's a fucking disaster. If someone wants to go back and rewatch this and see exactly what is going on or how it happened with no audio coming from the players, it's hard to understand like where they're going and what they're trying to do. But to my understanding, like no priority was held or anything like that. The Brainstorm was cast. You got a bunch of shit happening where he looked at the top 3 cards of his library, the fucking Veil of Summer, then he casts a fucking Bowmaster in a second. It's a whole fucking thing. So, yeah. Not quite sure what is really happening here, but it's turn number 4 or turn number 3. It doesn't really fucking matter. So, like, I don't think he can do enough damage with Lincoln being at 15, him already attacking this turn. If he wouldn't have swords the big dude, I think Lincoln would just die on the crackback with that huge-ass Murktide that's in play. But it's not quite what happened, so yeah. Anyway, some shenanigans have happened. Yeah, like, no idea what the fuck's actually going on here. But, yeah, anyway. Sequencing was all wrong, and I don't really fucking know. Anyway, that shit happened. See a Dredge for Loam. Caracas. Beseju's nice, because he can Beseju the Leyline Binding. This is turn number 4. And then use the Pernicious Deed to blow up everything except for the Murktide, and be able to kind of walk away from this game with his head held high, and he wins the match just based on the fact that it's turn 4. It goes to turn 5 for Ryan. Ryan can't kill him, so he picks it up on a 1-0 win. So either way, it's been a very interesting matchup for sure, especially watching that Cephalid Coliseum put in a lot of work. See if he's going to target Ryan with it again. The Bowmaster triggers. So Ryan's going to pick up 3 and have to pitch 3. And looks like he's going to just go ahead and wipe out Ryan's board with those Bowmasters. And pass back over. Let's see if Ryan can make the impossible. It's turn number 5. Draws a land. Has a Leyline Binding. Can at least take care of one of the creatures. But he can't attack through everything. And we got a trigger on the Beanstalk as well. And then he's going to take out the Orc army. Swing. He just blocks, and that is the ball game, I believe. Unless Lincoln has something else up his sleeve, he just wants to fuck with him on. That's that. And after this combat step, I believe that is the match. That is it. Thanks so much for watching and sticking it out with me. See you next time.
If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.